Well, hello my friends, meet again. It has been a while. Where should we begin? There is a very specific point in time that I remember realizing that Papa Roach's Last Resort is more than just sort of a meme song, and it was something truly iconic.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.
Foundational to the millennial experience, if you will. And it was actually took place at a country bar about 10 years ago. Now this bar on Saturdays would play an hour or so of not country music for all the university kids and normies like me who maybe didn't like country music all that much. Normally it was just sort of the typical mid-2000s EDM, but this one time the DJ decided to play Last Resort by Papa Roach. With that insanely iconic, provocative, and earwormy opening hook, the entire packed dance floor started singing along to this song, and they didn't stop until after the first chorus, where the DJ was forced to change the song due to mosh pits forming on the dance floor. I was in the pocket, so to speak, and even in this altered state of mind, I remember being awed by this fact. Here it was, an entire bar full of normies. They were all shouting at the top of their lungs to a nu metal song about suicide. What is going on here?
Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding.
And now I always knew this was a very popular song, even as a kid, but I did not realize the staying power and social dominance that Last Resort has until then. And honestly, I can't really think of any other nu metal song, even metal songs, which has this sort of domineering, iconic relevance, other than maybe Chop Suey, Enter Sandman, one of those songs too. And ironically, Chop Suey is another song about suicide. Now I know Rick Beato recently made a video on this song, but I actually don't really think he did a good job of explaining why this song resonates so deeply and intrinsically. And it's not just simply due to memes, it's musical. Alright, so real quick though, my band Mastea just released our debut album, Morningside. Go check it out. It's melodic death metal. I think you might like it. Cheers. One of the biggest reasons in my mind that this song is just so relevant and popular is that it sits entirely within the diatonic E natural minor scale and uses these classic and memorable chord progressions in a very musically symbolic way. The vocal hooks are obviously what everyone remembers, of course, Cut My Life into Pieces, but the underlying music and chord progressions underneath the vocals truly make the song memorable.
My life into pieces. I reach my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm.
And really, there are only about two main chord progressions going on here, and then of course some others after, but we'll focus on these two, with the verse, of course, that iconic riff, and then the chorus. So, let's start with the verses here, guys. So, the song starts off with the great intro, the absolutely iconic sung intro from Jacoby Shaddix, right?
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no.
Who doesn't know that? It's just so insanely iconic, right? After that, the band sort of introduces the chord progression that's going to be going on here, and that is the minor 1 to the flat 7 to the flat 6 to the minor 5, or 1, 7, 6, 5, to put it in simple terms, right? E minor to D major to C major to B minor. Very, very dark chord progression that constantly descends, and that's part of this whole sort of musical symbolism of the song, right? So
Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding.
now, of course, one of the riffs that everyone remembers is this one, right?
This is my last resort.
So that iconic riff that we hear, right? That goes right along with the chord progression that was introduced just before, right? So it's a very, very simple melody, and the only thing that changes throughout the whole thing is just that first note that goes along with sort of the bass notes of the chord progression that's going on underneath it, right? So you start up on the 1 to the 7 to the 6, and then finally to the 5. So it kind of gives this descending feel, but this almost feels like vaguely hopeful. So in this very musically symbolic, metaphorical way, right? It sounds like someone's being pulled down with like some panic, right? It's like, especially when it goes up to that B here, right? It really feels like we are trying to escape, right? But then we're brought down again in the next phrase, right? Down one more time. So that's a great example of harmonic variation. You're essentially playing the same melody over and over again, but under a different chord progression. Really cool. Now the main chord progression that is playing underneath of that guitar riff that I just explained is minor 1 to the flat 7 to the flat 6 to the minor 5 back up to the flat 7. Now that sounds very complicated, but it really is just moving down the minor scale in the chords. Very simple. It just works, right? So many bands, countless bands have done it, and it's just such a classic chord progression. It's descending, it feels very dark, which is a great example of harmonic variation, which is basically just a fancy way of saying playing the same melody over changing chords, which is what is happening here, which makes that guitar intro lick thing sound so cool. And if I play it all in triads here, diatonic triads, you can hear what this chord progression is trying to say, right? It feels constantly descending, almost like it is spiraling downwards. And the way that the band loops it over and over and over again sort of reinforces this point.
This is my last resort.
The band, of course, just plays power chords here instead of the diatonic triads, but the effect is still there. Of course, it loops back up to the 7 really quick before it goes back to the 1 again, so it makes it feel not so depressing and downtrodden, and that sort of breaks from the normal pattern, which I think is interesting as well, breaks that harmonic rhythm. So, if you put this on a piano roll and I extend the chords underneath it so that you can clearly hear what is going on, you'll hear that the main melody repeats over and over and over again, and is sitting on that switch between the F sharp and the G, which in the key of E minor are the 2nd and the 3rd, for spinning up to get to that B as the bass note continues to descend, right? The function of these 3 notes the main melody continually returns to changes as the underlying chords changes. Now, of course, the song does not play it straight like this, right? It's power chords, but this is what it's being implied. You can really feel the tension of F sharp and G over top of the progression as the entire time as those 2 notes are just a half step apart, and it really gives this definite dark tension that is sort of never resolved until the chorus of the song, which is very interesting, and I love it. Again, this song is very, very musically symbolic. A lot of this stuff feels like someone trying to get up, but it keeps being dragged back down. Moreover, on the 6th chord, the power chord underneath it is playing a C and a G, which rub against the B and F sharp that the melody is playing, making it sound extremely dark as we have 2 notes rubbing against each other, 2 sets of notes that are separated by 1 half step. Now, symbolically, what this riff does well is represent the feeling of constantly drowning, trying to keep your head above the water, so to speak, right? A continuous downward spiral. There's this sort of hopeful second half to the melody, which rises up to that B note, right? It's kind of reaching up, it's trying to get out of the water, but every time it's just dragged back down by something else, constantly, over and over and over again, and it's represented by that descending chord progression.
Cut my life into pieces. I reach my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck.
Just fantastically musically symbolic, representing the message and the lyrics of the song, which of course, right, is a sinking, trapped feeling of drowning, never being able to escape, and never being able to sort yourself out of the mess you're in. Quote, I never realized I was spread too thin till it was too late, and I was empty within. Hungry, feeding on chaos and living in sin. Downward spiral, where do I begin? End quote. That little phrase is sung over top of this. That's how you know it, right? It's really just a great symbolic musical memory, and it's interesting harmonic variation. It's just a really great riff. It sounds like panic in a way too, right? It sounds like struggle. It sounds like pain. Yet despite all that, somehow at the core of it, it doesn't sound hopeless, right? There is some underlying light here, and I think that's due to just being diatonic E minor, and I find that very, very fascinating. And I especially like how when the vocals start, the guitarist Jeremy Horton plays that same riff, just palm muted.
Would it be wrong? Would it be right? Ever took my life tonight? Chances are that I might.
Which serves 2 purposes, right? It builds even more tension in the form of a ready to explode type of feeling. Dun, 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 dun. And it gives room for the vocals to do their thing as well, which is always important, to get out of the way of the vocals, right? Which, let's talk about the verse vocals here. Jacoby Shaddix is a singer here, and he delivers some excellent and memorable lines. But beyond that, his vocal melodies themselves give this feeling of reaching out for something, for help. And it features Jacoby doing much more of like a talk singing or rapping. And I'll be honest, a lot of the talk singing or rapping stuff from around this time really has not aged all that well. But because of the great underlying musical progression and, you know, symbolism, metaphors happening over top of this talk singing, Jacoby can just simply rap on the E note and it carries its own substantial musical meaning, even without the words. Yeah, take a listen, you guys, you know?
Do you even care if I die bleeding? Would it be wrong? Would it be right? Ever took my life tonight?
Of course, Jacoby gives a great, believable, and relatable performance here as well, which always helps the cause. Now, I'm not going to go into depths on the lyrics here, as there are many videos detailing what the song is about, and to be honest, it's just quite obvious, right? You should just know. But to me, the very blunt nature of the song helps to be even more relatable. It's just out there in the open, right? Like, I'm not really sure how much more direct one could be about it, right? There are two angles here that I see for these blunt lyrics. One is the catharsis of the song, of this expression of anger, fusion, sadness, and desperation, right? It's right out in the open. So many times bands or artists sort of hide sensitive topics behind metaphors or clever poetic lines, and that's all well and good. I love poetry, but sometimes just being so blunt and just shouting it in your face so much that you can't ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist, has its own meaning itself, right? Which, combined with the very dark chord progression and melody, make it even more stark and curt in delivery and message. And the second way that the lyrics work here is that because they are so blunt that it almost begs for satire, right?
Would it be wrong? Would it be right? Ever took my life tonight? Chances are that I might. Mutilation out of sight.
Laughter is some of the best medicine, and this song being used in so many shorts, TikToks, memes, in a way that people think relatable. Sometimes, you know, it's like something totally innocent happens. Come on, live into pieces, you know. Sometimes it may just be, you know, stupid, funny stuff, right? But the lyrics being so transparent in meaning and iconic in delivery lends itself to be memed into infinity, which I think makes it a fantastic song. You can laugh at it or perhaps relate to it. Great iconic stuff by Papa Roach.
Questions and guesses, 'cause I'm losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine.
All right, now let's talk about the chorus. So the chorus is very cool as well. In the verse and the whole song before kind of established this descending chord progression, right? From E minor, D major, C major, B minor. Of course, it goes up again like that. But the chorus kind of reverses that. Now we no longer have a descending chord progression. We actually have an ascending one, right? So in this one, we're going to go from root to the 6 to the 7. And that's a very popular and very triumphant sounding chord progression. I made an entire video about that. Iron Maiden uses it all the time, right? Just a great sounding chord progression works, but Papa Roach sort of turned this on its head in this chorus in a really interesting way. So it's played like this. So what's essentially going on there, in addition to playing the cool octave pattern, is we're playing 1, 6, 7. But instead of going up from the 6 to the 7, we're actually going to go down. And that sort of changes that whole chord progression on its head in the same way that's sort of like musically symbolic as well.
'Cause I'm losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine.
Oh, it's like it's trying to be something better, but it keeps getting dragged back down. And the bass does this as well. And when they linger on that open D, while playing those notes, we linger on that 7 chord, that lower 7th chord, for more often, right? So they could have just played it like this. And that would still sound cool, but the fact that they go, instead of going up 2 semitones to D major, they go down 10 to the low D major, or D, whatever you want to call it. I think it's just such a cool move in that progression, something that you never really hear. I really like that. When you simple it down, that's what it goes to. And you actually hear that near the end of the song in a very resolute and final way. Really cool. Yeah, really cool. Great guitar work here by Papa Roach. Just a really cool and interesting song in all regards. This is also paired with the line, quote, "Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine," end quote.
Tell me I'm fine, losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine.
So do you see how this song just comes together so nicely here? So chord progression, which normally sounds hopeful and triumphant, is turned into one that feels very desperate, almost lonely in the way it just drops and lingers on that 7 chord for twice as long as the others in the chorus. Just such a simple trick, which is so effective, right? And I also love the vocals here. The first half, Jacoby's just pedaling that E the whole time, right?
'Cause I'm losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine.
But when the chorus repeats the second time, he starts singing up, he goes up, it just ramps up the intensity of the chorus even more. Losing my mind, losing my sight. It's just so good. And that's what really, really, really just like makes this chorus for me. Like, of course, the chorus before is good, right? But
Tell me I'm fine. Losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine.
how he just keeps the same cadence and energy, but just changes up the notes, just really locks it all together. Last Resort is really just a great example of very effective melodies and changes around these melodies and cadences. So cool. Now after the chorus, there are some different progressions, but these two are sort of like the main thing and make up the bulk of the song. So let's just recap what we can learn from Last Resort here, guys. Harmonic variation, right? If you have a cool an interesting melody, simply play that same melody over top of different chords in the key that it's written in. It can really, really drastically change the feel and vibe of that melody, the meaning of it too. You don't necessarily need to pedal the root note the whole time. And if some of the notes, rub against each other, even better. That's what makes tension, right? Tension and release is such a great songwriting feature. And songs like Last Resort here really do an excellent job of creating and then resolving that tension, especially in the chorus, like how we saw in that 6th chord during the main guitar melody, right? Another thing is chord progressions don't necessarily need to be all in the same octave. Like we saw in the chorus here, right? Instead of moving up 2 half steps to the 7 chord, they drop down 10 to get to it instead. This is a very jarring and heavy sounding movement, yet you could feel that musically it is still rising in a way, right? So try moving your chords up and down octaves to see how that changes and how the song feels. Very cool movement that they did here. And lastly, from the chorus vocals, if you have a melody, keep the same cadence or rhythm to it, but try changing up the notes. I really think that the second half of this chorus, where Jacoby goes up to that G, really, really makes this chorus extraordinary. Losing my mind, losing my sight. Like, it was already good. This just adds that extra something special to it, which really, really makes it stand out. So in addition to all the cultural context, the memes, the singing along to it, that iconic music video, which makes it so great, and how many times that people can relate to it through different sharing, art forms, whatever, the core song is very, very profoundly, strongly melodic and has great ideas and progressions which symbolically represent the music as well as the lyrics. So it's both, you're getting it from both sides, right? The lyrics and the music are all telling the exact same story, and that's why it locks in so hard. And that's what it makes you feel, which is the sign of a great genius song. Papa Roach, Last Resort. If I had to make a list of songs from the 2000s which we remembered in 100 years, I think Last Resort would be one of the forerunners. Just a great song. Now, if you guys have any other requests for new metal bangers or post-grunge songs, whatever you want to see me broken down, that you want to see me break down, leave that down in the comments. I've been Varvis. Thank you for watching. Remember to go check out my band's new album down in the description. Cheers, and as always, let the metal flow.